just days away. You're listening to ABC News.
New exceptions are in place as Ohio's voter registration purge moves forward.
The Columbus Dispatch reports Secretary of State Frank LaRose is ordering county election boards to leave some names alone, even though they appeared on the initial list of more than 235,000 people who didn't reply to last chance notices that were mailed out in July. Among LaRose's exceptions, people purged due to vendor errors and voters who may have moved but still live in the same county.
Rob Bailey reporting. Cleveland Mayor Frank Jackson's 16-year-old great-grandson can now be facing adult charges in a shooting.
According to public records, a Cleveland police gang detective was fired upon 3 times near East 86th and Quincy the night of July 17th. After a search, the car was later pulled over near East 93rd and Union, with the mayor's great-grandson allegedly behind the wheel. Investigators say a 17-year-old passenger tried to escape but was caught with a firearm, and an empty gun magazine was discovered inside the vehicle. Both have pleaded not guilty in juvenile court. A grand jury will decide if they should face adult charges. I'm Ken Robinson.
An investigation is underway in Rittman, where a man shot at someone he says was breaking into his home. Police say the man called 911 Thursday to say he'd opened fire after confronting the person, identified as an estranged relative who fled the scene. Investigators found a bullet in the garage, but they don't know if the alleged intruder was hit. And an Ohio state representative wants to protect high school referees from violent fans. State Rep Joe Miller is sponsoring legislation that would ensure jail time for anyone convicted of assaulting an official before, during, or after a sporting event. House Bill 208 would increase that penalty to a 5th-degree felony. Miller citing health and well-being of officials for his reasoning behind the bill. I'm Kyle Cornell.
Filling your news feed with the top trending news at the top and bottom of the hour. Columbus's news is on News Radio 610 WTBN.
Be a Buckeye for life. You have the power to save and heal lives by registering as an organ, eye, and tissue donor. Sign up today at lifelineofohio.org and be sure to talk to your family about your decision. lifelineofohio.org.
This story is called The Ugly Truth About Timeshare. If you think you've done your family a favor by buying a timeshare, you need my help. Hello, I'm Chuck McDowell, CEO and founder of Wesley Financial Group. 10 years ago, I started helping folks cancel their timeshare contracts, and in the process started what's now called the timeshare cancellation industry. Timeshare is the only thing that you can buy that you can't tell me how much it's going to cost or when it's going to end. When you buy a timeshare, you give them a blank check to fill out any amount they want for annual maintenance and assessment fees. Sound crazy? The crazy thing is, this never ends. Even when you die, your family's now going to be stuck with this burden. Stop the insanity today. Call my office now. I guarantee if we can't cancel your timeshare contract, you'll pay nothing.
Call for your free information kit. 800-885-2929. That's 800-885-2929. 800-885-2929.
Live from LAPD Firearms Range and Training Facility, this is On Target, the latest from the firearms industry, the products and politics that affect your hobby and liberty. This program may not be politically correct, but it is On Target. Now, your host, Eric Delbert.
Good afternoon. Welcome to On Target. We're broadcasting live from the studios of LAPD Firearms Range and Training Facility. That's located at 999 Bethel Road. I'm your host, Eric, along with my father, Phil, who sits here to my left. You know, it's known that we have close ties to law enforcement.
Oh, yeah.
And this week, we... Will you just sit down, please? I mean, you've had 2 hours before the show to get prepared.
I turned down the volume out here.
Okay.
Okay? All right. Let's
go. We, of course, you know, with those ties between law enforcement, we involved in their training and involved in a lot of things about them. But this week I've had the opportunity to go and sit down with a group of them, actually for a 3-day convention that had to do with just hostage negotiation. So a lot of times there's critics out there that say, you know, police need more training, and certainly in any profession that is the case. I mean, if you're not up on your training, then you're probably not doing service to your profession, and that's not, you know, more evident in law enforcement in the ever-changing world. But this week, after spending 3 days with not just the Columbus Police hostage negotiation team, but with teams from all over the country, it was amazing to see the intersection of technology and psychology that go together to really to handle some of these hostage and barricade situations that they encounter all the time. Matter of fact, I think this is the third year in a row that during the event they got called out on a barricade situation.
Really?
So I mean, it's really neat to see these people, in action, and really, there's a lot of training like this that goes on behind the scenes that people don't even see. But it's amazing the group of people that are out there protecting us.
There's a lot of people who think that we should act like robots and be able to respond in split-second time, and I see it every day in letters to the editor, and people that are just clueless.
Right. Well, we are the owners of LAPD Firearms Range and Training Facility and are active law enforcement. But for 1 hour on Saturdays, we put together a group of firearm experts to discuss new products in the market, training tips, and oftentimes political topics surrounding the Second Amendment. Our commitment, though, has always been to bring you the facts about our industry and ultimately help our listeners and our customers with safe, responsible ownership of firearms. Let me start by saying a thanks to Lieutenant Governor Husted, who was on with us last week. I mean, what a wonderful person. We've always, have appreciated him jumping on with us. We, of course, spoke alongside him and the governor. Actually, it's been about a week and a half now when they rolled out a proposal to strengthen the NICS background check system. And really, the proposal, the gist of it was to really help with the timeliness and the accuracy of the information going into NICS, which is everyone should be on board with that. There's no reason we all collectively shouldn't want that system to be as strong as it should be, and there was holes in it, and there's been holes in it for some time, and they've identified that, and they're on their way to fixing it, which is great. Now, the governor, about a month ago, rolled out a 17-step program to help curb gun violence. And this was one of them, as is getting more serious about criminals who are caught with guns, and that stuff is great. But there was two things in that have a lot of the Second Amendment guys worried, and that is any discussion about universal background checks, and we've talked about the pitfalls of that, and then also the term these days everyone throws around is the red flag laws. And personally, we haven't seen any proposals across the board on either of these that we felt remotely comfortable with. Now, there's too many pitfalls, and there's not enough benefit from these, and so we've always taken a kind of a high level and said, you know what, there's nothing that we've seen so far that's even in the ballpark or remotely something that we could support. But that doesn't stop people from just simply associating us with everything the governor has proposed out there. So this week, we were actually, it happened yesterday, that somebody put a posting out on, it was a page that is a pro-gun website for Ohio, and they put a page out there how we are for the red flag laws, lockstep with the governor, and wow, we should protest LAPD. And this obviously didn't go over too big here because it's something we pride ourselves in, is the character of what we deliver here. It's always fact-based, and we'll tell you kind of our thoughts. And if that was the case, I would stand behind it, but that just simply wasn't the case. And so I guess the point is that the internet, though a wonderful source of information, is also a very dangerous source of misinformation. And this is from both sides. Both sides. It's filled with paper tigers. People have no responsibility for what they put out there, and they think that they can just put something out there and let it be. Well, this gentleman found out otherwise. The post has since been taken down, and we tell people, even on our own sites, you should never take something for face value. Research it yourself. Don't just read the headline and go with that. And so this was a perfect example of that, and it's something that we should all take a step back and look at. This was a pro-gun site, giving us grief that was totally false and fictitious.
You stated that, Eric, very professionally. I think I would have been a little bit more straightforward. Don't put out stuff on the internet that is false, number one. And number two, because it's false, it's going to interfere with our livelihood and our business here. That,
right. And
simple in that.
And you know what? We've always taken a stance when those things have come down, whether intentional or not. I view that as a hostile, interaction on our business, and we will do whatever is necessary to go to that person and demand they take it. It's not true. I mean, it's not true.
Yeah.
And if it affects our business, then you're affecting my livelihood, and you're going to hear from us.
Yeah, and it not only affects our livelihood, but how much time do you spend on that trying to set everything straight?
Right.
It is downright pathetic.
And the fact in this case is, presumably, we're all on the same side here. I mean, we need to collectively have a voice for, standing up for the Second Amendment, or we're going to turn around and it's not going to be like we think it is today for future generations. I mean, this is it's nuts that this goes on.
There are people out there that are so far right, they're out the door, and we don't necessarily agree with them, on everything that comes out of their mouths.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's and it could have been just one individual, but I will say he did reach out to us late last night, apologized, because he admitted that all he did was see us standing beside the governor in that video, and just assumed, his words,
He made an assumption
that we're lock, stock, and barrel. So it just goes to show you can't take everything on face value. So what are we doing today? Well, we have a bunch of news stories. JC, I mean, you're like the newsman today.
There is so much news out there. We could do a 2-hour show on it and just scratch the surface. But before we do that, this is a 1-year anniversary of a very sad moment for LEPD, and that was the passing of one of our just stalwart employees, Tommy Skufka, died at the tender age of 53. Died a year ago, I think yesterday. And we miss him dearly, and our best goes out still to the family. And I still remember I bought. He was desperate to buy something in the store, and I said, "I'll loan you the money if you need to get." No, I won't borrow the money. I need to sell something. So he had a pump shotgun that I bought from him. I call it my Tommy gun, even though it's a pump shotgun, simply because he was so desperate to get something that you tantalized him with, Eric. And
of course,
he was a big revolver guy. I mean, he loved revolvers, and we had a common interest in that. So he was just a great guy. We miss him dearly. So,
we do, and I can't believe it's been a year since his passing and stuff. So always thoughts and prayers. And actually, on a good note, actually two good notes. His son has since graduated from high school and joined the Army, kind of following in Tommy's footsteps.
Following in his footsteps.
Tommy was Army Airborne, and what a great guy.
Right.
That's great. All right.
Yep. And you know what, today too, Papa, we were thinking, I mean, this kind of came about here recently, so I'm going to have to, I guess, tell the salespeople. But in Tommy's honor, who was a revolver guy through and through, so it was kind of nice to have him right there beside us in our liking for revolvers. Any used revolver we have here, and we have a bunch of used ones and stuff, if you come in today and you say you heard it on the show, you heard the tribute to Tommy and stuff, 10% off.
10% off.
Will that work, Papa? 10% off?
Will that work for employees?
Huh?
Maybe not.
Well, I don't know.
Maybe
so,
not.
10% off on used revolvers just today in honor of our good friend Tommy. That voice to my left is, of course, my father. Hey, you made a debut this week on TV.
It was purely a mistake. I never get behind the sales counter, all right? And if I am behind there, it's because I'm going from point A to point B, and boom, right there, I was behind the sales counter, kind of looking like I knew what I was doing, and the Spectrum lady was there filming. So I'm there,
Right. Now, maybe next time you'll get a speaking part.
They don't want me to speak, Eric, and and for the sake of the store and you, you don't want me on the air. I mean it. But do you have a minute so I can blast the Dispatch?
Why not? We hit everyone else today.
Investigative journalism, okay? I mean, that's what they always say. That's what they're always, it's our duty to investigate. So they always have these stories about these kids being caught at school with a gun in their backpack, loaded or whatever, or some kid killed another kid. And most of these kids are under 18 years old. And my first question is, where did they get the gun? But the Dispatch never covers that. They never follow through on that. Even if it's a day or two later, I would like to see them do a little bit of research and find out where they got the firearm from.
Because just deducing it's probably off the streets. It's being stolen, like we said for a long time. It's not something that's going to get caught in a background check by an assault weapons ban, by, universal background checks.
But sometimes I think the dispatch just kind of lets that stuff drop, and
and they're not the only ones.
Yeah, they're not.
We'd like to thank our sponsors: Rampart Hosting, Toyota West, Jackson Lawn Care and Egress Windows, the Trigger Group, Blackwing Shooting Center, River's Edge Cutlery, and CNS Engraving. Actually, I saw the River's Edge guys this week. Great guys over there. And, of course, LEPD Training Facility, all who make the show possible each week. If you miss the show, you can always catch the podcast. It's at 610WTVN.com. It's on iTunes, it's on Google Podcasts, and it's on Facebook. That's where we're at right now. You can watch us live. You can see some of the Gun of the Weeks, and it's out there. It's out there for in weeks ago. The show's out there. You can go out there and see it. It's also on our YouTube channel. So if you're watching the game, which I think we're watching it here on the back TV.
It started, hadn't it?
It has.
Yeah.
Cincinnati, good game.
Yeah.
And but many places to see it. So, JC, we have about a minute for some news stories. You have a quick one here before we go into break?
Oh, news story? Okay. Well, just real quickly, we know how bad it is. This headline caught my eye. So it wasn't my headline, but it said, Joe Biden, absolutely mindless. And I thought, hey, we already know he was a little bit on the offside, but I thought he actually blew a gasket. But what it was he actually made a statement after the shooting spree. You can watch on the video. His quote was, "It's absolutely mindless that we haven't banned magazines that can hold multiple bullets in them." A magazine that can hold multiple bullets. I don't know of any one-round magazines out there. So that statement that he made, in his words, absolutely mindless, I think that definitely applies to him. And another one, MSNBC commentator, former Congresswoman Donna Edwards, on Wednesday night on MSNBC, her quote was that shooters are killing thousands of people with high-capacity ammunition. And the quote was, no, they're getting these automatic rifles using high-capacity ammunition, and they're mowing down hundreds, thousands of people every single year. I just can't believe the garbage that's going out there. As we know,
do we
year
have any?
Higher, but I think last year the FBI said 403 people were killed with rifles. That's not just the AR-style rifles. It's all rifles in the United States. 403. But no. Ex-Congresswoman Don Edwards, hundreds, thousands of people every single year are being mowed down.
Don't we have some high-capacity ammunition, Eric?
We sold out of it. After she said that, there was a run on it. We no longer have high-capacity ammo, so just let people know.
All right.
Hey, when we come back from the break, JC, we're going to get to some of the other news stories. Papa, I think this song might be for you.
Best Buckeye coverage, post-game show, the hits, the misses, and the Buckeye Bottom Line. Powered by TNT Equipment and Kroger Distribution Center. Immediately following the game today on News Radio 610 WTVN.
The best jewelry buying opportunity ever is happening right now at Diamonds Direct. Pick any item, pay nothing down, and get 5-year zero-interest financing. Imagine that $4,000 eternity band for only $67 a month, or that $8,000 three-stone ring just $135 a month. You can finance 100% of the purchase, even the tax. Don't miss this limited-time opportunity for the lowest payments ever on fine jewelry. On approved credit, details at diamondsdirect.com.
On Polaris Parkway. Hi, this is Scott Grissett
and Jody Shields
of Columbus Mobility Specialists.
If you're having trouble climbing the stairs in your home, consider a stairlift system from Columbus Mobility.
Our comfortable, quiet systems offer you the safety you need to avoid dangerous falls and give you back your independence.
What are you doing?
We are currently running a special.
Trying to make everyone happy.
No, you don't need to make everybody happy.
Call us for
just
a free
me.
estimate. That's Columbus Mobility Specialists.
Okay.
All right, so now we'll have to have a talk here.
Emily, I text
or on
you.
the web at
columbusmobility.com.
When you're
Okay.
to our 2019 iHeartRadio Music Festival, plus $1,000.
And I'm sorry, it's who gets it to me first, right?
Well, you don't want to start playing that game because I'll get to you right after the show today.
Access with VIP meet and
I'm honestly surprised you haven't yet.
Nightingale Suite at the new and so much more.
John said the volume seems low on his phone. Is that something you can do?
You could be there in person.
I can try my best
for your next chance to text and win.
Your ABC 6 first warning weather. For today, mostly to partly cloudy, spotty light rains possible, high of 76. Tonight, partly cloudy, mild, and the low is 58. Sunday, partly to mostly cloudy, once again, slight chance of PM rain, high of 76. It's currently 71 degrees on your severe weather station, News Radio 610, WTVN.
News Radio 610, WTVN.
With the left coming out with their theme songs like this, Pawpaw, they're really hitting the nail on the head here. Tell me lies. What more could you want from a theme song? Who's that by, Pawpaw?
I think that was Fleetwood Mac. I'm not sure.
That is.
Hey, I want to ask you one question. What term is partly, mostly cloudy?
Partly, mostly cloudy.
I just read it off the page.
What? It was on the page?
Mostly to partly cloudy, maybe.
Oh, mostly to partly.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's a distinction. Sometimes I look out there, I'm thinking, well, that's mostly cloudy. But then there's other times
that's
I'm like,
partially cloudy.
Mostly to partly.
Okay.
So, and
All right.
Welcome back to OnTarget.
If you can't do weather, I'll do it, okay?
I might need you to.
Okay.
If you could give us the score, that would be really good, though, Papa. Welcome back to OnTarget. I'm the host, Eric, along with my co-owner, Father Phil. To my left, JC, here as well with us. And we're talking about some of the latest news of the day. There's been so much news, JC. Some good, some not so good. And you know what? We laugh about it and we poke fun about it. But it's really a sad state of affairs when you look at the quote that you just gave there from former Vice President Biden and then the other lady, Donna Edwards, who was a senator. It's just so it's so disturbing to see that these people are in charge of setting standards for legislation and for laws. It's just, I can't believe we don't have anyone better to put up there. That's the thing that's surprising to me. So.
We need to start requiring IQ tests this is what Donna Edwards said. It's just, it's just flabbergasting. How stupid. It really is a stupid statement.
Well, if they do that, if they misquote things about firearms, what else are they misquoting?
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the thing.
Like it's a license to lie.
Well, and that's the thing. In reality, it makes you wonder. We happen to know firearms, so when it comes across, it's evident. But I don't know. I'm not versed in all these other topics, and it makes you seriously doubt that. And it's kind of a sad state of affairs. So, JC, what else you got? I heard something. Tell me if this is right. It was some late breaking news today about the feds going to Apple and to Google.
Oh, this is a major story. This is just happened. As a matter of fact, the Justice Department put in their application. The government put in their application. Justice Department just on Thursday. So the story broke yesterday, and you folks can see it on the Gun feed. It's their headline story. And this was a scoop that happened kind of by accident. This was supposed to be sealed records, but before these records got sealed from access to the public, somebody got wind of it and just pulled it up a couple of hours earlier. So we know about it. So here it is. The Fed demanding Apple and Google hand over the names of over 10,000 users of a gun scope application. Now get this. Apple doesn't keep track of it. Google had over 10,000 names. Apple probably has equally as many, I would imagine, or close to it. So the article, and this was out of Forbes magazine, said, hey, you own a rifle? You got a scope to go with it? Well, guess what? The U.S. government might soon know who you are, where you live, and how to reach you. Is that scary? So the government wanted Apple and Google to hand over names, phone numbers, computer addresses of 10,000 to I don't know how many that Apple has on theirs, users of a single gun scope application. So it's an unprecedented move in the United States. Never before in the United States has a case been disclosed in which American investigators demanded personal data of users of a single application. The application is called Obsidian 4, and it's a tool used to control rifle scopes. Initially, this app was made by Night Vision Specialist American Technologies Network. ATN is what most people are familiar with. It allows gun owners to get a live stream, take video, calibrate their gun scopes from either an Android or an iPhone device. The deal is it is a mass information that will include data on tens of thousands of Americans that have nothing to do with crimes. They're not being investigated. Privacy activists are just outraged about this. They said this is really, really crazy. NSA cybercomputer guy just said that it's the first time in history that the United States has ever asked for this kind of wide sweeping information on people that are just probably all law abiding. And what came up with it is there's the ITAR, which is the International Trade in Arms Negotiation. That's their the rules and regulations saying that we can't export our super secret technology to other countries. We don't want the bad guys getting it, and that's part of it. Well, apparently the ICE folks have found that some of the Mexicans have had scopes that should have not been in their possession. But how they came up with this, one of the ways that you focus those scopes can be with this Obsidian 4 application. But they ask for every person in the United States. And talk about, wide sweeping. They said if this would go into place, why wouldn't the government, just be able to ask any kind of information on anybody? So far, this just happened. So Apple and Google have been told to hand over the names and telephone numbers and IP addresses and everything. They haven't complied yet because it's just happened on Thursday.
Wow.
But if this would happen, this is really, really crazy. And again, it was supposed to have been sealed, but they got it ahead of time. So this is crazy news. Crazy.
Yeah. Wow. What a big waste of our taxpayer dollars for the feds to be looking into stuff like this, that anybody at any time can change out their firearm, not have a scope, have a scope. One time I had a scope on my 22 when we hunted squirrel.
Right. I know. It's crazy.
And, it is.
It's nuts. And JC, we talk about, people from the outside looking in saying the Second Amendment groups are paranoid. And let me tell you a little bit why. Because you see these politicians do crazy things. You hear stuff like this that is going on with Apple and Google. And then this last story here, and we're going to try to squeeze this in before the break real quick, is that there's a fear that stuff's going to happen via executive order. Something's going to happen, and all of a sudden magazines are going to be banned or something, just like the bump stock was, right? Well, JC, did you hear this week that San Francisco voted to put the NRA on the terrorist, to label
domestic terrorist list?
The
NRA, if you're an NRA member, and these are the supervisors of the city of San Francisco. There's 7 of them. And they put in this kind of rule that, hey, if you're a member of the NRA, you're a domestic terrorist, and it's a domestic terrorist organization. They're going to use that in screening applications for jobs and for contracts for contractors to come in and do city work.
Wow!
That if you're an NRA member or have anybody in there, then that's a domestic terrorist. And where is this coming from? Well, of course, it's San Francisco.
Hey, JC, let's get to the bottom of our break here. We'll continue that after the news here because we're a little bit late. We're on target. We'll be back after the bottom of the hour news.
This story is called The Ugly Truth About Timeshare. If you think you've done your family a favor by buying a timeshare, you need my help. Hello, I'm Chuck McDowell, CEO and founder of Wesley Financial Group. 10 years ago, I started helping folks cancel their timeshare contracts, and in the process started what's now called the timeshare cancellation industry. Timeshare is the only thing that you can buy that you can't tell me how much it's going to cost or when it's going to end. When you buy a timeshare, you give them a blank check to fill out any amount they want for annual maintenance and assessment fees. Sound crazy? The crazy thing is, this never ends. Even when you die, your family's now going to be stuck with this burden. Stop the insanity today. Call my office now. I guarantee if we can't cancel your timeshare contract, you'll pay nothing.
Call for your free information kit. 800-885-2929. That's 800-885-2929. 800-885-2929.
News, traffic, and weather for
We good there,
Columbus.
Emily?
News Radio 610.
Yeah, is it working for him better or no?
WTVN.
He
An
hasn't said
attorney
anything.
for a convicted school
Okay.
shooter
sounds good. It sounds good.
Sentence. The
I think so,
Springfield
too.
News Sun reports
yeah.
Stephen
No, I just
Hardwick
texted
is in
you.
a
I
Champion
didn't get
County
weather this
courtroom
morning,
earlier
that's
this
why.
week, arguing before a
Bob.
three-judge
It's always
panel.
Bob. It was
He
Andrew
represents
Buckmichael.
19-year-old Eli Cerna, who
That's okay.
pled
I just pulled
guilty
off
to
the
shooting
website.
and wounding two students
can't-
at
And
West
yes, I
Liberty
wondered
Salem
the
High
same
School
thing.
in 2017.
Partly,
Hardwick
Mostly
argued
the
that the judge
partly-
improperly
Yeah.
considered
partially.
promotional material for a drug the teen was taking at the time and should have taken
Makes
Cerna's age
zero
into
sense.
account when sentencing him. A Canton
All
postal
right,
worker
seems like-
facing charges
All
after
right.
being accused of firing a gun inside his mail truck.
Stark County Sheriff's deputies say Harry Royal accidentally fired the gun Thursday, then fired another shot at the windshield in an effort to convince detectives someone shot at him. He was charged with inducing panic, falsification, and vandalism.
Rob Bailey reporting. And a new Middletown man in federal court answering the charges of threatening the Jewish Community Center of Youngstown yesterday. 20-year-old James Reardon Jr. ordered to remain in the Mahoning County Jail pending his hearing next Thursday. I'm Kyle Cornell.
Yes, fall is the time for planning, and it's for great savings at Strader's Garden Centers. Strader's has all your favorite fall flowers and vegetables like Hardy Mums, starting at just $2.99. Flowering cabbage and kale at $4.99 or 10 for $45. Beautiful pansy color bowls at $12.99 or a flat of 36, just $14.99. Strader's cold crop vegetables, a tray of 3 for $1.49. Asters, $4.99 or 10 for $45. How about ornamental corn and peppers, millet, purple fountain grass, pumpkins, and corn shocks? Strader's perennials are all on sale at 50% off. Cool air temperatures and warm soil temperatures make fall a perfect time for planting. See all the tremendous fall plants on sale on Strader's website at straders.net. Then, come to Strader's Garden Centers.
Live from LAPD Firearms Range and Training Facility, this is On Target, the latest from the firearms industry, the products and politics that affect your hobby and liberty. This program may not be politically correct, but it is On Target. Now, your host, Eric Delbert.
Welcome back to On Target. I'm your host, Eric, joined today in the LAPD studios with my father, co-owner Phil. Sits to my left, JC from the sales team is with us as well. Talking about some of the latest news of the day. There's so much. And honestly, guys, I've been looking at my little sheet here. I'm not sure we're going to get to many accessories today because my buddy Richie is going to be calling in here in about 10 minutes. So let's finish up with some news. JC, we still have your gun of the week to get to. But
all right.
As we were going into break, we were talking about the NRA being designated a domestic terrorist now in San Francisco. And what does that mean? Well, a lot of that is probably just on paper. But, JC, couldn't this influence bids if you are a member of the NRA organization and you go to place a bid with it for the city services and stuff?
Oh, absolutely. With San Francisco, I think that and I think that's what they want. They want to paint everybody. Let's face it. I hate to say this, but you would think that there's not a Democrat out there that appreciates the Second Amendment on our Constitution, but they're out to take your guns away. Simple as that. They're not even dancing around about it anymore. You look at the top candidates; they want to disarm you, just like they tried to do in New Zealand, and that's what they want. So. San Francisco, just a mouthpiece. I think they want to catch, they want to be a virus that catches on with other democratically controlled cities, and I think that that's what they're going for. So,
right. And it's a shame.
Obvious.
It's a shame because we have, and we kind of joke with them, but we have a lot of customers who come in here who would probably label themselves more left-leaning, but they're gun people, and we have great discussions with them. But just like, I guess just like on our side, these cities like this stand up, and then all of a sudden it paints a broad brush of their side of the house, which unfortunately they don't speak for everyone. I mean, we see it all the time right here in the store. So speaking about not speaking for everyone, JC, did you hear the Walmart news this week?
Well, I think that made every news station in the country, and it's what's kind of ironic. And you and I talked about this recently before this announcement, and the announcement was, of course, that Walmart is going to stop selling any ammunition for ARs. They specifically said the .223 and the .556 ammunition, and any short-barreled handgun-style rifles, like many of the AR styles are, but also all handgun ammunition. So they don't want America to be able to defend themselves by going to Walmart and buying ammo. That one really shocked me. All handgun ammunition. Now, questions came up. They didn't delineate exactly what rounds. They had a news conference on Friday, and they didn't say, some people said, what about the 22s? That's the most common round in America, probably about 6-7 billion rounds a year fired to that, in rifles and in handguns. Are they going to stop selling that? The president said he wasn't quite certain, the president of the company of Walmart. But the ironic thing about that is just recently, before that was announced, there was a guy who went berserk at one of the Walmarts, I believe in the state of Washington, and went in and fired a handgun into one of the glass counters there. Didn't hit anybody, but went out, tried to hijack two cars, shot one of the people that resisted in the parking lot, tried to hijack another car when armed customers, probably concealed carry holders, one of them pulled out a gun and took the guy out. He did kill the guy, but here's one of the customers using a handgun, probably with ammo purchased at Walmart, to save a mass shooting at Walmart. Yet then right after that, Walmart says they're announcing across the nation that they're doing that they're stopping all handgun ammunition sales. So they only represent 2% of the ammo sold, just so you know. So it's not like, oh my goodness, Walmart, but it is, about 2% of the ammo sold in the United States. But
I've heard
really
mixed
crazy
numbers on that, JC. I've heard 2 to 20%. So I don't know. We'll have to research that a little bit. But I mean, honestly,
there's a lot of variation there. They are going to continue to sell shotguns and rifle ammunition that is, like for your 30-06 and your 30-30 and that kind of stuff.
Right.
But, not for the.
And I mean, honestly, from a business standpoint, I mean, it's good for us. I mean, we sell a ton of ammo here and have a lot of bulk ammo, but it's just disheartening to see a company of that size cave, just like Dixon Field and Stream did, to falsehoods and stuff. And now I will tell you this was kind of funny. I don't know if you saw this out there, JC, and to give you a little heads up, this is fake news. This is fictitious. This isn't right.
No, this was fake news on the internet, right?
It was on the internet.
The same thing that you just spoke about earlier in the show,
right? But this is funny.
Okay.
There was a story that came out. Obviously, it wasn't true. And it says Walmart is discontinuing auto part sales to prevent car accidents. And the quote from the fictitious Walmart executive was, "We can no longer be complicit in an industry that kills 3,000 people a day," said a Walmart spokesman. "Every time we sell a muffler, a steering wheel cover, or a flame decal, we are potentially causing the death of a person, and we cannot support that any longer or have that on our conscience." Again, it was a spoof, but it was kind of funny because it's the same thinking. I mean, it has, if you're going to do that, you may as well go get down the entire list. So JC, it's a little bit behind. You have about 2.5 minutes for a gun of the week that honestly, Dad and I were talking. I hate to say this, JC, but I think you're making it up. We haven't seen the gun. It's not here on the table. I've never seen one of these.
And he's never, given me the opportunity to do any research on it.
Right.
Thanks a lot for the communication, John.
So what do you have, JC, for a gun of the week?
Your research would have been slim because the gun is so rare. I had a hard time finding it under the name of the actual gun. All right, the gun of the week, and I love it because of it's odd, it's historical. Have to have one in the National Firearms Museum, so it's pretty cool. but it is called, the gun of the week is called the Schall, Schall. It was originally called the Fiala Model 1920 was the original name. Now, what's interesting, I'll do it really quickly, but Anthony Fiala was an Arctic explorer. He tried to find the North Pole with a group of folks that led the expedition, and he was on the expedition in 1903. Took them till 1905 to get there. They got iced in, and they were stranded for 2 years in the Arctic. It's just amazing. 2 years stranded before they got rescued. A couple years later, in 2007, he went back and tried it again. They did not find the North Pole, but this guy's an adventurer. Well, while he was there, he decided, you know what, these semi-automatics don't work in Arctic temperatures. So he invented a gun that looks just like an old high-standard military or like an early pre-war Colt Woodsman, except it has a magazine, and it looks exactly like a semi-automatic, but you have to pull the slide back manually each time and push it forward to load the round. Other than that, you would swear it is a semi-automatic. And he did that because he said in the super cold weather, they wouldn't function back then, so you did it manually. And it's an incredibly interesting little gun. Well, he only sold them for like 3 years. 1920, 1923, he went bankrupt. But another company came and used the name and picked it up, and then another one. Well, the company that was manufacturing every one of these was called Schall, Schall, out of New Haven, Connecticut, where all these were located. And they went ahead and put their own name on it, since they've been manufacturing them from the beginning, and did that for a couple of years. And so I think the sales ceased in the early 30s. They only made 5,000 total under all of these names, and the least were made by the Schall, Schall. And one of our good customers, Zane, brought his in. It is just absolutely beautiful, and it's just a very interesting single shot, magazine fed. Looks like the magazine would fit into a high standard or an old Colt, but a very interesting gun. 6.5-inch barrels, what it came with, and it's a rare piece. So that was the gun of the week.
JC, what caliber was that?
It's 22 long rifle, just a 22 long rifle. And they marketed it as it didn't lose any power opening up the slide, because the slide was locked whenever you pushed it manually forward, and you had to pull it out to eject it. But to me, I thought it was a broken semi-automatic. But no, it was actually designed that way. So interesting gun.
That's neat. It'd be neat. We'll have to. I know one of our customers has it. It'd be neat to when he comes back in to check it out and maybe post a picture out there on
have
Facebook.
him bring it back in. It's really interesting to see, but very little information on it because I made so few of those. So pretty interesting.
Good. JC, before we go into break, I was just looking through our list here real quick. I know you had a stat that was super interesting in regards to Maine, and they had. This
is very interesting. We like to give facts here, and the facts are so important to us. And just so you know, U.S. World News and World Report, came out with a list of the 50 states in the order of which ones are safest and to live in. Well, Maine, the state of Maine, in 2015 just passed constitutional carry. They are a permitless state. Now, anybody without a permit can carry, according to the Constitution, have your right to bear arms. Well, guess what? Maine was named as the safest state in the United States of America in violent criminal acts. The safest state in America. And, of course, they're right next door to one of my favorite states, Vermont. And Vermont has been a constitutional carry state, I think, longer than anybody. And guess what? They're the number 2. They just got edged out by Maine. They've been the number 1 safest state. Now they're just slightly lower at number 2 of the 2 safest states in the nation. And Vermont was the first state with constitutional carry, in Maine since 2015. And guess what? There's no onslaught. It's a safe way to live. And I guess you're not going to see that on the Bloomberg News, are you?
I guess not. Wow.
No.
When we come back from the break, we're going to get to, hopefully my buddy Richie is going to call in, talk about some of the things that are going on in the industry, maybe talk a little accessories. We're on Target, broadcasting live from the studios of LAPD Firearms and Range. We'll be right back after the break.
The The Mark Blazer Show, Monday at 3.
I hope you're enjoying this fantastic weekend that we're having. At 4:10, part of our best Buckeye coverage will Buckeye Breakdown with Jeff Logan. We'll also have your Browns, Bengals, and Steelers. Plus, it's Speedo Monday. Lucky for you, this is radio. Talk to you Monday at 3, News Radio 610 WTVN.
There's a lot of people that focus on the economy every day, whether it's your personal economy, you're investing, you're looking at the macro economy of the globe. But hey, let's just talk about it from a practical perspective. You want to diversify. A lot of people will check out gold and silver. And if you're thinking about gold and silver, maybe need a little information about adding that, why don't you stop by Allen's Coin Shop? Allen's Coin Shop is flush. I mean, they've got great inventory and can talk you through. If you want to buy silver because it's less expensive than gold, you can buy it in U.S. Mint products, or you can just buy it in ounce, 5 ounce, 10 ounce, up to 100 ounce bars. Stash it away, and if you want a tangible asset, or if the price goes way up and you just want to cash out, it's easy to do at Allen's. Gold the same way. I mean, recently, gold topped $1,400 an ounce. That means there's a lot of people buying and a lot of people selling, which means the inventory is always gettable. And while you're there, poke around. It's a collector's paradise, I promise. State Street in Westerville or online at allensinc.com. Allen's Coin Shop, serving collectors since 1960.
Are you retired or retiring soon? Gain some insight and connect
It
at
is 71.
LegacyRetirementGroup.com.
Your ABC 6 first warning weather. Today, partly cloudy, spotty light rain, high of 76. Tonight, partly cloudy, mild, low 58. Sunday, partly cloudy, slight chance for rain in the afternoon and a high of 76. It's currently 71 degrees on your severe weather station, News Radio 610 WTVN.
Your station for news, traffic, and weather. News Radio 610 WTVN.
Welcome back to On Target. I'm your host, Eric, joined today with my father, the weatherman, Phil.
And that's how you do it, Eric.
Well, you just made it up.
Did I make it up?
Did you read it off? Was that this week's weather?
I don't know.
That was good. That was good.
All right. Yeah.
That song there in honor of our fallen buddy. When 1 year since Tommy Skufka passed way too early, and was always a fan of the 80s rock, the 70s rock, and I'm going to say there might be a tipping of the glass to him tonight. So, yeah, good friend. Sorry to see him go. Speaking of good friends, on the line with us right now, and let me get out my paper here. Right now, on the line with us, my buddy Richie, who is president of Tactical Applications Consulting and Training, former SIG Special Weapons Coordinator, 20 years in the industry, Patriots fan, and enjoys a nice bourbon by himself at night. Now, that's kind of weird, but Richie is on with us. Welcome back, Richie.
I got to pull over. I can't take that intro. That just touched me in all the right places.
You know what? You sent it to me. I just read it. No, you know
Actually,
what?
I'm a whiskey drinker, but occasional bourbon is okay.
You know what, Rich? We for those of you who haven't heard Rich on the program, a dear friend, and really, Rich, you've been a friend since I've been in this industry. I think we've said over 10 years ago now, and you really have done you always have your finger on the pulse of what's going on, and so many times, especially early on, you would call me up and say, Eric, you need to buy this, or watch this warning sign. So we really appreciate that, and I wish you the only regret is I wish you lived a little closer here, but that's all right. We'll keep you up there in the Northeast.
Well, as we've been talking over the last few years, it's only a matter of time. I make a promise. I will be coming to Ohio one of these days.
That's great. So, Richie, there's a lot of things going on. I know you and I talked this week. SIG 365 is coming out with something new.
SIG is now introducing the 365 SAS, which is their SIG anti-snag pistol. Now, the original SAS versions came around right around 2005, 2006, right around the time that I was there. And what they did is they rolled it into the 239 and 229, and they had dehorned the slide, rounded the edges, It was offered in two-tone with really nice wooden grips, and they also offered one of the very first pistols to offer only a front night sight. The rear sight were standard 2-dot combat, but just the front night sight. And the thought process behind that is, well, God forbid that you have a threat and you want to neutralize that threat. You're never going to really get your sight picture, but you are going to look at that front post. So why not have it be a nice, big, bright night sight? So they took the SAS design and rolled it into the 365, and they went a little bit farther than what they have in the past. The gun has no front sight, but it does have a sight setup in the rear located where the MOS plate would be, and it's a fiber optic sight with a very short sight radius. It's a compensated version, and I got to be honest with you, I like it, because if you look at the gun on the top of the slide, there is no protrusion. There's nothing that can get snagged if you're coming up out of a inside the waistband holster, or if you're trying to push your clothing aside. I'm a big compensated guy. I know some people are kind of on the fence, worried about flashing and blinding. I don't have that worry, but I think it's a really nice design.
And you know what, Rich? We always talk here. I mean, our CCW classes, we emphasize that up close, that 10 to 15 feet, where an encounter is more likely to happen. And we do a lot of point shooting and a lot of one-handed shooting in our class and in a lot of our classes. And it's funny because, JC, what's the first thing that comes to mind when you think of little, 25s, 380s, and 32s with no sights on it?
Well, I mean, these are what we used to call belly guns, but these are the personal protection guns that you have. When the stuff happens, even the FBI says over 8% of the time, it's 3 shots within 3 seconds within 3 yards. So it's all close up and personal. And when your heart's in your throat and someone's coming at you, the time to line up your sights are pretty slim. That's why we teach that finger pointing with a bullet coming out within about 3 inches of where your finger's pointed, and that's kind of what we do. But these are the self-defense guns that you want. So SIG looks like they are catering to that market with snag-free small firearm, and they kind of hit a home run with that 365, didn't they, Richard?
Yeah, they did. And JC, I got to tell you, just brought a smile to my face. You're one of the only persons I have ever heard bring up 3 rules: 3 yards, 3 shots, 3 seconds. Not many people know about that. So you brought a smile to my face. I'm glad it's still out there.
Okay. Well, we're teaching it here, so
that's right.
Wonderful.
And guys, one of the things that immediately came to my mind is you look at, the traditional J-frame revolver that really doesn't have much on the sights, and the C-camps. Yep. Nothing on the side. So, I mean, it goes right along that. And it's, I think too often we all get hung up on trigger pull and, shooting the 10 ring out at 25 feet. But when it comes down to it, it is that, 10, 15 feet that it's going to occur in. So, great. We'll look for that coming out. So, Richie, we got a couple minutes left here. You and I talked earlier in the week about Walmart. What do you think the impact of them not carrying ammunition anymore is going to be on the market?
Well, listen, I want to know how. I've never heard of short-barreled ammunition. Do you have that in stock, by the way? Because I hear the news reporting it all the time. I'm like, what are they talking about?
Rich, we sold out of it along with the high-capacity ammo. When they talked about the high-capacity ammo this week, we had a run and we're out. So, not here.
Yeah, but listen, honestly, I want all the big box stores, and some people may find this shocking, I want them to stop selling guns. I want them to stop selling ammo, because you know why? That's going to bring all the business to the dealers, the FFL, the mom-and-pop shops that are out there, and it's going to reduce the price, because ammunition companies have been selling ammo to big box stores by the container. Well, now that pipeline has been shut off, you're going to see a substantial reduction in price in ammunition. And I know up front, a lot of people online on Facebook and stuff were complaining about, well, my local guys are, 10, 15% higher. Well, I don't see that in the future. In the immediate future, I see a substantial price in ammo. Probably, I'm going to go high on this, probably as much as 30%.
Wow.
Years ago, I knew what the ammo production numbers were yearly, and unfortunately it evades me, but it's a staggering number. It's absolutely staggering how many millions of rounds they manufacture. But I'll tell you, I want Walmart to stop selling guns. I want Dick's to start selling guns. That is going to support the core of our industry. You know, the FFL dealers throughout the United States, the privately owned businesses, and I support it. I want them to stop selling them.
Yeah, it's true. Well, Rich, we have about 1 minute left. Any last thing you're hearing on the street that we should know about that we can hear here first?
Springfield has got something with a clock ticking down online. I've got a little intel, but, you know, those non-disclosure agreements are always a pain in the butt.
I know. Well, you'll have to jump back on with us when that comes about. Anything from Glock?
No, actually, I was hanging out with Glock yesterday at the Boston PD shooting range on Moon Island in Quincy, Massachusetts. They're pushing the MOS. That seems to be where the agencies are going to be going in the future. My prediction is probably within the next 5 years, you're going to see well over 50% of agencies carrying MOS guns.
Yeah, we're seeing that more and more here in our market as well. Well, Rich, that's my good buddy Rich from the New England area. And thanks so much for jumping on, as usual. Always good to hear from you. I'm sure I'll talk to you during the week, but thanks for taking time out of your day to talk to us on the weekend. So, guys, that's it. Another hour gone by. Ohio State was leading. I can't see from here. Still looks like 7-0. Does that sound right, Papa?
I don't know. I haven't looked either.
You haven't looked either?
My back's to the screen here, Eric.
Next week, we are going to get to some of the accessories that you can't live without. Have a great week. Stop by and see us. We have a wonderful estate sale going on right now. There is so many neat things here in the store, and if I can keep Paw Paw out of my office, they will be for sale here shortly. Stop by and see us. Our training is picking up again. Get on the schedule for that, and have a great week. Go Bucks, and we'll talk to you next week.
From the Elk and Elk Studios, serious lawyers for serious injuries. Call 1-800-ELK-OHIO. News Radio 610 WTVN.
If you're drowning in IRS debt and can't afford to pay, then you need to take advantage of special
You can keep this till next week. Just keep them there. We'll talk next week about them. Keep them under there. That's fine. Do you know which ones they are? You there, Big M?
Yes, I am.
Dude, you were juggling it all today.
I'm trying.
You were doing good, though. I mean, is that a pain when they call in? And
No, it's fine. It's just when other things like today is just kind of like last week to me, except a little calmer.
Yep. It was good.
Nothing,
I mean, everything
yeah.
was good. Actually, I heard from a couple people during the show that it sounded good over the air.
Oh, good. I'm glad, because I can never tell on this end.
And he says that he wants to do the weather for you now whenever you do the weather, like on open phones.
Well, Bob does them on open phones. I do it on Ron Wilson's show.
Oh,
and
Ron Wilson. Yeah.
I don't know if I will be allowed to pass that over.
All right.
Because that way I really don't know how I would do that.
I'm teasing you.
So,
I'm teasing you. Dude, when are you coming back in? I'm in this week again, so.
You are?
Yeah.
So, are you in like after 3 on Friday?